What's going on, YouTube? So this video is going to be about Bitcoin and the fact that it is going to be very difficult as time goes by for people to own Bitcoin, especially if folks want to acquire one Bitcoin, right? And I'm also going to touch upon, how people want to know what amount of Bitcoin do people need to be, I guess, well off or to become wealthy or rich, etc. Right? That's been, I guess, that's on the minds of the people, from what I've seen. You know, I've had conversations with people um, where I would bring up Bitcoin and they would say, "Oh, yeah, I heard about that, but I heard it crashed." Right? So they equate the success of Bitcoin to the volatility, right? The price swings, the price goes up, the price goes down, the fiat, the dollar, the US dollar numbers is what people use to identify the value of Bitcoin today. So today it's upwards of $8,400, right? People say for some people it's out of their reach. For others, it's not even, it's just a drop in the ocean of how much wealth they have or resources that they have, right? You have those who are super wealthy and you have those who are unfortunately super poor, I should say. So it's just the way things are. Now with Bitcoin, the first cryptocurrency that's open source, the first cryptocurrency that's completely decentralized, the first cryptocurrency that no one, no entity controls, no government, no central banking structure, no institution controls Bitcoin. So, because of the blockchain, because of the fact that this blockchain, that the protocol is used as far as Bitcoin is immutable, can't be changed. All the transactions that are captured can't be reversed. And we're talking about every transaction that took place since the Genesis block, which I believe, I could be wrong, was January 2009. January 3rd, 2009 was the Genesis block, the first block ever produced. Bitcoin to date has captured every single transaction, right? So far. So you can always go back. Someone can always go back to verify whatever transactions that have been done or have been made. When you acquire a Bitcoin, they say that if you don't have your private keys, you don't own Bitcoin. Okay, because it's peer to peer. It's something that you're not supposed to allow a third party to hold your coins because you don't own your coin in that case, right? One way that you can prove to yourself and to others that you have Bitcoin is if you use a node to validate, to verify a transaction, because you can acquire a Bitcoin and who's to say that that you really have the Bitcoin if you haven't verified it by running a full node, by actually downloading the actual Bitcoin blockchain onto your laptop or computer or whatever device. They have devices now that run nodes. One device that I've seen and heard about is called Casa Node, where it runs the blockchain is worked on constantly. It's a small box, electronic box or whatever device. So you have a full node. The full node verifies your transactions of you having your Bitcoin. So that's another layer of proof to show that you have your coin. So now getting back to the topic though of what can a person, um, what idea or how many bitcoins can a person have to define them being rich? That's still subjective though. That's something that's subjective because what's rich to me could be poor to somebody else. What's poor to me could be rich to someone else. You know, who's to say? That's not for me to decide. But for what's important is to understand some of the basic information that's out there regarding crypto, and then you can make your well-informed decision. Because I always say, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you take the information that's there, you can be able to make a good calculated decision that's good for you. And I don't like to say don't put money in that you can't afford to lose, because personally I can't afford to lose anything. So I'm not going to put that out there, but you know what I mean when I say that. So Bitcoin, there will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever created, ever mined or produced, right? That's how the setup, the mathematical equation was set up by a fictitious person or group of people named Satoshi Nakamoto, who introduced the white paper during the high economic turmoil of 2008. Okay, so in that white paper, it details what Bitcoin is, the purpose of Bitcoin, and I believe the formulaic mathematical equations that the miners have to solve through their computerized equipment, hardware, these rigs that they run, constantly 24/7. And once they're able to solve whatever equations and through hash power, they receive rewards. And today there's about 12.5 bitcoins that are produced every block, and I believe every block reward grants 12.5 bitcoins, and those blocks I believe are produced on average of 10 minutes, every 10 minutes or so, right? So the there will always be 21 million, and out of that 21, well, I'll say there will always be 21 million in existence of Bitcoin, right? To date, there's about 17.7 million bitcoins that have been mined or produced. I don't like to say circulated, because many bitcoins they're saying have been lost and will never be recovered again. There's Bitcoin that have been mined or produced that people kept on their computers, which they discarded. They didn't take it seriously. Bitcoin has only been in existence for 10 years. So in the beginning, times were different. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, times were different. So people have relinquished their coins. They lost their private keys. So there's an average of 4 to 6 million, they're saying, of bitcoins that have been lost. So that reduces the supply. I would say that's accessible from 17.7 million minus 6 million. That brings us down to about 11 or 12 million coins or so. And out of that set of coins, you have individuals who have, kept their coins in hard wallets. They're saying that Satoshi Nakamoto, and it's not about they're saying, this can be verified as well. There's a wallet where Satoshi Nakamoto owns this wallet. It's about over 1 million bitcoins that are just in that wallet alone. So take away 1 million from 11, now you have, or 12, you have 11 million or 10.7 million bitcoins, right? And then you have governments. They say Bulgaria, the Bulgarian government has acquired over 200,000 bitcoins from groups, organized crime groups in their country, when they've seized those assets, or when they apprehended or whatever, through these nefarious characters, they've collected upwards of 200,000 bitcoins. It's been in their possession. For example, you have governments that have a wide amount of Bitcoin. You have individuals who hold a great deal of Bitcoin. We're talking about in the thousands. There are these gentlemen who are twins called the Winklevoss twins, Cameron and Tyler. They're both twins. They also own the Gemini exchange, which is an exchange that's out that people can, trade crypto on. They have upwards, they're saying like six figures in crypto, about 200,000 bitcoins in their coffers, and not to mention other people, other billionaires and early adopters who were able to acquire the coins. So that decreases the amount of coins that are in quote unquote circulation, right? So they're also saying, like, with all the coins that are already in the wallets, all the coins that simple people, and not simple as in a pejorative way, but regular people have in their wallets by way of 1 coin, 2 coins, 10 coins, 100 coins, who are actually holding on to those coins, who are not trading those coins, are also removing the amount that's available for anyone to acquire, and it also reduces it reduces the availability and increases the scarcity. So here you go, where you have supply and demand, right? You have a finite amount of crypto by way of Bitcoin that will ever be created, a finite amount of crypto that's available, and the demand steadily increasing by the day. As each day that passes by, they say that the crypto Bitcoin network, not crypto, but the big crypto, yes, crypto is the granddaddy, but the Bitcoin network is gets stronger by the day, right? Due to its network effect, its protocol, it just gets stronger. More people are using the blockchain, more people are using the coin, more people is generating more interest. Mass adoption is slowly increasing by the moment and by the day. So the network gets stronger by the day, and the more nodes that also are running throughout the world increases the security of the network. And by the way, I've also um, found out that the blockchain also can't be hacked, or attempts were made in its early days, within the first year or under 2 years. Computer people who were savvy with computers, whiz, a bunch of them were trying to hack into the code and realized that it couldn't hack, because during that time period, Bitcoin really was less than a penny. As far as the value, was less than a penny, and they tried to hack into the code, and they couldn't. They realized that it couldn't be tampered with. So then it started to generate value slowly but surely. Could you imagine, something that a Bitcoin that was worth cents or fractions of a penny is now today upwards of $8,000 US. Its high, all-time high to date, occurred in December 17, 2017, where it reached 9,900 something dollars. Okay, so people see the numbers, and that's what gets folks emotionally attached or driven, to either jump on board because they don't want to miss out. FOMO is real, fear of missing out, or panicking. Folks, when the price drops down, people panic because you have the human psychology involved with these things, because it's all emotionally driven. If you don't have a plan as to what you're trying to do, if you're a trader, you know how to trade, but the likelihood of being successful as trade, if you don't have the skill set, is not as high. It's next to nil. You will lose a lot, and it's stressful. So these elements that occur within the market drive people to become very responsive and emotional. So just yesterday, Bitcoin touched $9,000, and then it dropped down almost $1,000. So that those volatile swings, not many people have the temperament to deal with those types of things. They don't have the temperament to deal with that because they're equating Bitcoin to the value of the US dollar, dismissing the technology, dismissing the blockchain, dismissing what it actually is, what it can actually offer, what a Satoshi is. Bitcoin is divisible by eight decimals, and those decimals are identified as Satoshis. If one Satoshi, the number at the eighth decimal point, reaches $1 US parity, $1, the value of one Bitcoin essentially at that point will be $100 million. And you have a bunch of predictions and analysts who, say that Bitcoin by the end of 2019 can reach 30K. Bitcoin by the end of 2020 can reach upward of $250,000 to $1 million. Bitcoin in 3 to 5 years can reach $10 million, or 10 years can reach $10 million, $20 million. It's untold. It's an untold amount. We don't know. We know one thing though, that many businesses now and institutions are jumping on board into the blockchain. They're studying what this is about. There are even institutions that are teaching courses about the blockchain technology. I mean, this is real. I used to think that Bitcoin was a joke. An old colleague of mine spoke to me about Bitcoin, and I dismissed it. This was several years ago. She told me that Bitcoin there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that she shared with me, and I read it, and I didn't really pay it any mind. I thought this was something that people used to gamble, or something, folks, it was a toy, or this electronic money that just really didn't have any value because I didn't understand it. And as a result, I see years later that Bitcoin is creating its own foothold within the world. It's truly creating its own foothold. It's not limited to using in casinos and things of that nature. You have companies like Microsoft that are building or creating on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, introducing some type of privacy software to help protect identities, things of that nature. They're introducing Lightning, not Microsoft, but Lightning Network is also being used to enact faster and quicker transactions among the Bitcoin network, because people complained about how the transactions on the Bitcoin protocol were slow and the fees were somewhat high, but compared the fees to international wire transfers that you have to do. If you have family overseas that you want to send them monies, you have to go through all these hoops, all these barriers, and pay all these fees and wait days for your relatives to receive funds, and they may also have to incur fees. With Bitcoin, these things happen in a much shorter and quicker time, and you could send anyone can send monies around the world to anyone at any time, 24/7. That's another thing about Bitcoin, where the market is active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The regular, like New York Stock Exchange isn't. New York Stock Exchange generally, 9:30 Monday through Friday, ends at 4 p.m. And then after you want to trade afterwards or whatever, that's just. But generally, it's open only from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Fridays, off on the weekends and holidays. Bitcoin runs 24/7. Bitcoin and the preceding altcoins. So these are also indicators to show you how promising this thing can be. The value in this it's almost infinite, because you don't need permission to use Bitcoin. You don't need permission to send Bitcoin. anywhere to anyone. There are no barriers in that sense. Where if you want to send Bitcoin to a different country, you have to go through whatever government regulations, etc. It doesn't work like that. You could send it anywhere. The Bitcoin doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what creed, what nationality, what faith you practice, what gender. It has nothing to do with that. This is all code, zeros and ones, algorithms, etc. I'm not an expert. I'm not a developer, so I can't speak to that sense. I'm just speaking from a practical standpoint. you know when you have businesses that are also accepting Bitcoin, like the Winklevoss twins recently, they filmed themselves or documented themselves creating a transaction through their Spedin, uh, I guess, software or application in Starbucks, where they bought whatever they bought with Bitcoin, you know, through Flexa and Spedin, you know, Barnes and Nobles, I believe, is joining. Whole Foods is accepting Bitcoin, and a slew of other companies are accepting Bitcoin as payments. So these things are showing you that when the masses catch wind of what's really taking place here, this could be life changing, where our language and how we understand economics and how we understand commerce and how we deal with each other can change. Imagine we're talking about, basing our values and prices in terms of Satoshi rather than dollars. You want to buy a car, it's going to cost you 30,000 Satoshis. I mean, that's just an example, but this is where it can head. I don't know. It's because this is so disruptive and game changing. And when I mean disruptive, I mean it just pretty much topples the financial legacy systems that we know. It topples everything and overthrows the economic structure that we understand to date. That's what Bitcoin is doing. And when you have governments who, at one point, governments, they'll give out pejorative or negative type of news about Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency community called negative news FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD is an acronym for that. So, governments will create FUD and send out negative information about Bitcoin, and banking institutions would also do the same, send out negative information about Bitcoin to keep the people pretty much put off by even thinking about investing in Bitcoin or acquiring Bitcoin. But then you hear sometime later that these same institutions and these same governments have been secretly acquiring the coins. Why are you secretly acquiring the coins, or are you talking negative about Bitcoin in one aspect? And excuse me, there's a plane overhead. Why talk negative about Bitcoin in one aspect, and then the next but then at the same time you're secretly acquiring the coins? What does that tell you? If people like Bakkt or the New York Stock Exchange through ICE is trying to bring Bakkt into the market, that says a lot. NASDAQ trying to also introduce crypto to the world. Robinhood utilizing their software applications to allow investors to trade and buy and sell crypto. Who else? Facebook creating their own cryptocurrency. Facebook, IBM, they have their own blockchain department now. Again, like I was saying, with the academic institutions, colleges and universities are providing courses on blockchain tech, high big data and data science, Then you have Fidelity Investments introducing opportunities to have their institutional investors to acquire Bitcoin. See, there are a limited amount of super wealthy people in the world. We have, they say, upwards of 7.5 billion people on the planet. And out of that group, they say there are 200,000 super wealthy people in the world. They say there are about 35 million wealthy people in the world. I don't know where the folks get these numbers from, but this is what they're saying online. Okay, just let's go by the 35 million. With 35 million millionaires, do you think if they wanted one Bitcoin, they'd be able to have one Bitcoin today? No, no. So what does that tell you about what the price is going to look like? I don't even think they'll be able to have half of a Bitcoin at this point. You know, they say that anyone who uses Coinbase to acquire Bitcoin, anyone who uses Coinbase, who all the account holders of Coinbase to date can't even, if they wanted to purchase one Bitcoin, there are no Bitcoins available. They can't have one Bitcoin if they wanted. All the Coinbase account holders, if they wanted to acquire Bitcoin today, one whole coin, they wouldn't be able to because it's not available. You know, they would have to seek other means. Then you have people, rumors, where you have these super wealthy people, these billionaires who are saying are looking to acquire 25% of the Bitcoin amount. This one person wants to acquire 25% of the amount of Bitcoin that's in existence. That can never happen. Like, they just can't do it. That's one person in the whole planet that wants to have 25%. Like, that's just crazy. You have a group that they store Bitcoins in the mountains, I believe in Switzerland. If I'm mistaken, they're storing Bitcoin in vaults, military vaults in mountains, deep. You want to talk about cold storage? Deep cold storage. Okay, by the masses. There are people that are acquiring Bitcoin by the thousands. Okay, and that's gonna leave people just looking at them like, why didn't I do this? That's how I feel. I'm not trying to convince people to buy Bitcoin. I'm not trying to convince people to get into it. I'm just sharing awareness to help people open their eyes to see. Just like my eyes had, it took a while for me to really understand this. It took a while for me to wake up and just to see what's taking place. Whether we want to believe it or not, it's just not going anywhere. This is the wave of the future. This is the internet of money. Bitcoin is being regarded as the internet of money. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. So if you see, they say that if you acquire 1/10 of a Bitcoin, 1/10, let's say today it's about $8,400. Last I checked, so 1/10 of that would be $840. Because you could buy it in fractions. So you hold 1/10 of a Bitcoin. That sets you apart from billions of people. Billions of people. Just 1/10 of one coin out of 21 million sets you apart from billions of people. Because the crazy part about that is, right, you have 1/10, right? Should the price of Bitcoin reach an astronomical figure, like let's say 10 million US dollars. Now your 1/10 of a Bitcoin, 1/10 of 10 million is how much? $1 million. Your $840 that you purchased your Satoshis, the fraction will now be worth $1 million. I just want to keep it simple. I know I talked about today's terms, today's amount as far as the 840. So it would be worth 840,000. Let's say it reached $8,400,000, right? Your your tenth of a Bitcoin would be worth 840K US dollars. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just insane. And of course, no one can predict where this is gonna go. No one can predict where this is gonna go, and it's deflationary in nature. It's hard. They say it's hard money. They say that Bitcoin is a new store of value. They say Bitcoin is Internet 2.0. When the internet first made its introduction to the world, widespread back in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, people were very apprehensive about it. I didn't understand it and everything. But look at 30 years later, look at today. This is what Bitcoin is doing. This is what cryptocurrency is doing. This is what the blockchain is doing. It's introducing a whole new way of being. A paradigm shift is taking place as we know it. Okay? That's why I'm taking my time and sharing this information, because I know, I'm just one person out of, I know very little about crypto. I'm learning. I'm learning though, because I see the potential of what's about to take place here. I can't just watch this go on or read about news that are coming out by the day. News that are coming out by the day of what's happening, of how these companies are pouring super large amounts of money into the space, and for me to just think that, oh no, this is just a joke, this is just a fad, this is a phase that's just going to go somewhere, and it's not. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So going back to, excuse me, what amount that, how much would a person have to be able to consider themselves well off? I mean, I guess if you could acquire one coin, you will be sitting so pretty, it's not even funny. In the future, like, this is we're talking long term thinking here. We're talking long term. Bitcoin cannot be censored, meaning governments can't block you from creating transactions. Bitcoin cannot be taken from you. Once you have your private keys and they're in your possession, that's it, right? You store your coins in a hard wallet, cold storage, whatever you do. You have your keys, you own your coin. It's what it is. You don't need permission to use it, to send it, to earn it. But it goes back to what you feel. If you can have one coin, because like I said, if millionaires or millionaire just decided today, now again, they want to have how many whatever amounts of Bitcoin, and then realize that they can't have it because it's not available, just simply not available, that is going to create mass hysteria. Mass hysteria. Because people want something, especially when it's hot, especially when they see the US price increase. Remember when I talked about emotions? Emotions drive people to do irrational things. Like that term, irrational exuberance. Emotions drive you to throw rationality out of the window. So once they start to see the price just keep skyrocketing, going up, people say, I want that one Bitcoin. They're going to pay whatever it takes, because they're going to see that and they're going to want to be a part of that. Again, fear of missing out. They're going to want to be a part of that. And those who are holding, who would have set themselves in a position, would have set themselves in a great position, because there are people who will never be able to attain what they have. What they have. A year from now, 2 years from now, should this thing continue, which in my humble opinion, I think it is, I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere. They even have satellites. Like, folks have said throughout the years, the government could shut Bitcoin down. This is what people have said, right? People who don't really understand Bitcoin, just shut it down, just ban it. How can you ban it? You can't ban it. It can't be banned. If you understand how the thing works, it can't be banned. So they would just say things like, ban it. Why don't you just, shut it down, or just turn it off. How? People say the only way you could stop Bitcoin is if you turn off the internet, like you shut down the internet. Can you imagine the repercussions of the problems that would occur once the internet gets shut down? Where we take for granted so many things, and if something like the World Wide Web internet as we know it gets shut down, there are so many more devastating issues that would occur that we would not be thinking about Bitcoin. We'd have other worries, other things to think about, right? The same thing where they say if a government or there was an EMP attack, an electromagnetic pulse attack, and shuts down an electric grid, that's another problem. No one would be thinking about Bitcoin, because especially when you need clean water. You have no electricity, like the basic needs of life. Just things would just be at a different state of being. You wouldn't want Bitcoin would be almost the last thing you'd think of if there was an EMP attack, right? That's just my opinion. So let's say the internet does get shut down. They've said that something related to Blockstream. I don't know if this is the name of the company, whatever. But there are satellites right now that work with some form of redundancy that could ensure that the blockchain continues. Should there be some type of catastrophic incident where the internet gets shut down, never fret, don't worry. The satellites that are running specifically working with blockchain technology, Bitcoin, would ensure that the protocol continues and it's running. This is not going anywhere. This is not going anywhere. And I know this is a long video and stuff, but I'm just sharing my thoughts about Bitcoin. Again, it'll be in your own best interest to decide what you want to do. Do you want to just, watch how things unfold? It's your choice. Do you want to become, a participant and open an account to start to, invest and acquire coins? That's your choice too. But I'm just sharing information like I always do, and encouraging people to do some research. Encourage people to just become aware and to see, because even in my normal, regular, everyday life, I try to get into conversations with folks about Bitcoin. And a couple years ago, when I started to talk about it with them, people really didn't know. But now more and more people are becoming, are even sharing information with me, and I'm seeing a difference. I'm seeing a difference, a widespread difference. It's going to get to a point where we won't even know that we're using blockchain technology. That's how I think enmeshed everything will become. We'll just be probably somewhere at a clinic or wherever, and utilizing, or even our cell phones. We'll probably be utilizing blockchain technology unbeknownst to us, because the companies are building on distributed ledgers. They're companies that are building software or smart contracts or whatever they're offering on blockchain tech on top of the blockchain. This is not going anywhere, folks. It's not. You have a lot of scams out there. You have a lot of scam coins. You have a lot of coins that people who, they're trying to introduce something to the world, and then you have those who won't make it. There are about 2,100 coins right now, technically, from CoinMarketCap. That pretty much captures all the coins, the prices, the hard cap, the market caps, the daily volume, and 7-day, hour, monthly types of chart movement and price movements. A lot of those coins are not going to make it. if you look at the chart, if you look at coin market cap from 5-10 years, not 5, yes, 5 years ago, for example, I was gonna say 5, 10. Bitcoin's only been in existence for 10 years, by the way, 10 plus years, 10 years and in about 4 months, 5 months. Says a lot. But if you take a snapshot of like 2013 and you see the top 10 coins, a lot of those coins at the top 10, top 15, 100 coins, a lot of those coins didn't make it. And that's what's going to happen even today. That's why it's somewhat like a gamble when you just jumping into this space, because it's niche right now. It's a niche market, incredibly volatile. But the experts are saying that there's going to reach a point one day where the price of Bitcoin, well, once Bitcoin reaches a certain level of price, that it will begin to stabilize. But that at this point, it'll be huge, like a huge, crazy number. It'll be worth a lot by way of fiat monies. They say 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin, though, right? But it is going to get to a point where the price will stabilize. You won't have to deal with these huge fluctuations and price swings. So it depends on, going back to my original, how much do you need to have to be able to be rich or wealthy? It falls on you. I can't decide that for you. You have to figure it out for yourself to see and understand what it is. Don't jump into something you don't understand just for the price, just for the sake of just like gambling, because you could lose your shirt, and then what, right? If you miscalculate, or just be good with the decisions that you make. So if you like this video, you like the content, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Tap that bell so you'll be well informed and know when I put out a new video. Until then, take care.